So yeah, Richard did allude to the fact that there is a token American in the audience today, and if you can't tell by my funny accent, that's me. So yeah, my name is Jared Mueller. I work with all of our strategic partners at Cludo. We work with two primary partners. One are technology partners like Jadu, so we work with several CMS providers, and then we work with a lot of digital agencies as well. So thank you to Kirstine and everybody on the Jadu team, Suraj, David, everybody that I've worked with so far, Sarah. Very, very professional organization, and working with people like Jadu are the partners that we're trying to find. So I was hired in April to kind of build out that portion of our business. We are not a super old technology company, so it's been a great learning experience for me so far. My conversation today is search. That's what we do. That's all we do. But search is really just that's a thing that you use on the website. But we've taken it a step further than that. There's a lot more that can go into search. It's really about using data and technology to help have a real impact on your business. And depending on what type of business you are, it's going to have multiple types of different impacts. Local government has been something that's been a huge hit for us. One, because you tend to have quite a bit of content, and you have citizens that are looking towards you as the people that are in charge of your websites to be able to find that content. Sometimes that's easier said than done if you have a good CMS platform that allows you to have nice, beautiful categories laid out properly. That's kind of the first step. If they're very objective, focused visitors, meaning they're going to look for something specifically, they're going to go use the search bar. So kind of the way that we view search is it's one of the few times in the world where you're really having a direct conversation with your citizens. You're talking to them because you're publishing content. This is what we want you to read. This is the information that we want you to find. This is how we want to inform you, and this is what we think is important. That's you speaking to them. Coming back, when you have those visitors come to your website and they search for something, they are super objective focused, and they're telling you in their own words exactly what they're looking for. We think that that data is very, very important. It's important for different reasons depending on what type of company you are. If you're a B2C, so if I go to Nike.com, I search for a shoe, I can't find it, the first thing I'm going to do is leave, go to Google, click on the first search result, and buy it from somebody else. When talking about local government and the public sector, if I'm searching for something very specific, I can't find that information, the first thing I'm going to do is call you, visit you, issue a support ticket, which for our government clients have told us is basically worst case scenario. As much as you like talking to people, you'd rather have that be more of a self-service where they have all that information at their fingertips. It can really allow you to spend time and resources on other things versus talking to people that are looking for information that can already be found on the website. Having a good CMS platform, having good content on there, having it laid out clearly in a concise manner is a very good start to having a website, but making sure that that information can be found easily is really important, having a good, holistically healthy website. One thing that people don't really know a ton about with search is that the data behind it can do a lot of things for you that currently today may be a little bit more guesswork versus actually based off of data. So when you're looking at aggregating that data that's coming in from search, like we talked about before, it's your constituents telling you exactly what they're looking for. Couple of fun facts to point out. 1 in 3 people. That's how many people are going to come use your website search function. This is a study that was done by multiple large organizations, and it's actually a couple of years old, so it's probably even more than that now. As human beings, we are really conditioned to use a search bar. When you're at a bar, spending time with friends, sitting down with your family, somebody asks you a trivia question, you don't know the answer, the first thing somebody says is Google it. We are being conditioned to go click in that little box in the upper right-hand corner and go type in exactly what we're looking for, and we expect those results to be displayed immediately, and if not, we're frustrated, we're annoyed, we have a bad experience. The second piece of data I want to throw at you is 75%. That's the amount of people that will never look past the third option of the search results. So even though you may have a functioning search bar, if it's not relevant material and displaying that information appropriately, also going to cause great frustration. If I search for something very specific, if it's not on the top of that page or very near the top of that page, game over. Most people are going to leave, they're going to call, they're going to go buy some from somebody else. Really not what you're looking for. Um, the data and analytics is really important. So kind of the underlying piece of it is, yes, you want that search bar to function, you want that tool to work correctly, but what's coming with it is really important information. First and foremost, it can kind of give you a pulse check on your website. Do I have all the right content I should have, and is it easily accessible? If it's not, if you don't have the right content, you should be able to have that information in front of your fingertips and say, hey, we have people that are looking for something very specific, and we don't have anything on our website that covers that. That's a problem, because they're either leaving us and going to someone else, or in the local government case, that's where they're calling in, they're talking to their neighbors, they're becoming frustrated because they are not feeling very informed. Forecasting future trends. Very interesting time we find ourselves in. There's a lot going on in the UK right now. There's a lot going on in the US right now. If you follow a certain president of a certain country on a certain social media platform, you'll know that we have plenty of issues of our own. So for me, as a citizen in my own neighborhood, I want to feel very informed, because every time an election comes up, I'm going to exercise my democratic right to vote and put the right people who I think are in office, and I rely on my local government to have that information. And if I don't, that's a big problem. You're doing a big disservice. I would consider my government to be doing a big disservice to me if I didn't have that information handy. So not only helping shape what is working on your website, but also pointing out what is not working on your website, what people can't find, and also where you have gaps in your content of things you don't have on your website that you should. So why does it matter for you guys? You know, when looking at the public sector, I don't think I've ever talked to a government client that says, we have plenty of resources, we have plenty of time, we have plenty of man and woman power. Not a problem. People don't say that. Today's day and age is about doing more with less. So the more you can have your website, your overall government be self-service. If I'm looking for a marriage license or starting a new business and need a business license, if I want a job and want to search for careers, I think it was John earlier who had said something about a form for fly tipping. I've never done this, but in the U.S. we do something called cow tipping. It's where you go to a pasture in the middle of the night and push over a cow. I don't know why you'd want to tip over a fly. That makes absolutely no sense to me. It's a fraction the size of a cow. I was hoping some people laughed at that, because I did Google what fly tipping was on the lunch break, and know that it's not you physically pushing a fly. So, but having that self-serve aspect is really important to you, because once again, that eliminates the need for them to show up at City Hall, for them to call into you and say, hey, I need this form, or I need more information about this. Having all that information accessible at their fingertips and easy to find. Another thing that search can really allow you to do is it can help you push certain types of content. You have great stuff on your website, but regardless of what people search, you may want to push certain things their way. Our U.S. headquarters is in Minneapolis. It's super cold there, and it snows a lot there. So when there's snow emergencies, schools are canceled, they're late, businesses are closed, hours are affected. You don't want to watch 3 hours worth of news to find out what's open and closed that day and where you can go. You go to your local website, you go to your government and say, hey, my child goes to this school, I can see that it's 2 hours late today, so I don't have to, I have to call in sick to work, or, rearrange something else. So it really helps you prioritize what content you want them to see. So regardless if they're searching for one thing, that result may be displayed, but you can also say, hey, this information we still think is really relevant, and we want you to be at least informed about this. Marketing and content people, you spend an incredible amount of time and effort putting in the strategy behind what content you have on your website. At the end of the day, I don't want to say it's an educated guess, but you never know for certain, is it the right content? Do I have everything I need? So search can be a great way for your citizens to either reaffirm that, yep, you're doing a great job, you have everything I need to find, and I can find it easily, or there's certain things that you don't have information on that I need as a citizen in this area, and really help point out the gaps in that content. So you can say, they're looking for situation XYZ and we have no content on it, so let's go ahead and update that. So why does it matter to your community ultimately? Because that's, at the end of the day, who you serve. That's the position that you're in. You've got a very diverse community. So do we in the U.S. There's people with different needs, different cultures, different living situations, different income situations. They all have different needs, and they look to their local government to be able to support them in a timely and cost-effective manner. And a great website presence is a very, very good way to do that. Having it be user-friendly, once again, not going to beat a dead horse on that, but making sure everything is self-sufficient. Accessibility is a big thing for websites in general, not only the content of it, but making sure that, I was in the 3rd grade spelling champion for my district. No big deal, but I'm actually really bad at spelling as an adult. So I don't have any disabilities, but there are plenty of people in this world that do have disabilities, and you need to make sure that information is fair and accessible for everyone, so that not just people who can find the information regularly have access to it. So having a tool that understands that information can be found in multiple ways. I hate this last line on here. Actually, as I was looking at this slide today, that's kind of dumb, and I wish I would have changed it. And it should say an informed citizen is exactly that. They're informed. They're looking at you to have all the information that they need. It's not necessarily going to make them happy, but at the end of the day, as the people that are in charge of the website, as the people that are in charge of the content, as the people that are in charge of the technology behind all that, your job is to make sure that they have the tools at their fingertips, and then it's up to them whether or not they use that information. At the end of the day, if you've done that, you've really done your job, and you've done a good job of it, and at that point, it's out of your hands. Search is kind of in this weird place right now where the CMS platform was 20 years ago, where search engine optimization was 10 years ago. People are just now kind of starting to understand what its real power is, what it can do, what it can't do, and ultimately what value it provides them. So oftentimes when speaking with clients, they either never reevaluated their search situation or haven't done it in a very, very long time and don't even know what their options are out there. And this is not a situation where one type of search provider fits all needs. So these are just some general things that you should probably have internal discussions about when looking at what your search strategy is. And these are just kind of some questions to help get the ball rolling of what do we want this to look like, what goals do we want to achieve, how do we want that to function with our actual website itself. So these are just kind of some starter questions to help you get going internally if you don't know where to start. Because really a big piece of this is just making sure everyone's educated about what their options are, what their potential downfalls are of their current site search, and if they are looking for other options out there, what questions do we need to be asking ourselves that when we do make a decision we feel very comfortable and we feel that it's going to meet our needs. So the analytics is a big side of it. Do we need to be able to point out gaps in our content? Am I going through a website redesign, and how will that affect my search? How is that related to search engine optimization? How do I aggregate all of my data together versus parcel it all out? So all of this stuff is just some things to talk about internally. And actually, if you go to the Cludo website, there's a much longer article on there about basically what do I need to ask myself when evaluating this tool. It's called the Site Search Buyer's Guide. It's not specifically about Cludo, but it is just about, hey, if you've never done this before, here's what you should ask yourself, and that'll kind of help at least guide you in the right direction. So I've got one last thought-provoking slide. Your citizens are speaking. Are you listening?